Hi everyone, I hope you're all doing really good. Today I want to share a recipe with you that's been in the archives for a few years already. It's a dish that I learned to enjoy and make in the UK, and it's a shepherd's pie, of course vegan style, and I'm making it with lentils and it's full of different veggies, even in the mash where I put some cauliflower. And this recipe has been on the website for a few years now, and originally I made it in a skillet so that you didn't have so many dishes. But today I'm gonna do it in a dish, so I'm gonna cook the filling in a pan and the mash I'm gonna steam, and then I'm gonna put them together in a pan and bake it in the oven. It is delicious, it's really savory, full of umami flavor, and it's very nice on a cold autumn day or an early winter day or a winter day or an early spring day. Anyways, it's good for many months to come, and I hope you will enjoy it. And the first thing we need to do is chop up a lot of vegetables to just prep everything, so let's get going. I like to start by prepping the veg for the filling, and for this I need some brown onion. And the easiest way to know how much to use in this recipe is actually to measure it out in a cup measurement. So I use 1 cup of chopped onion as well as 1.5 cup each of chopped carrot and chopped celery. You want to chop the veggies quite finely so that they cook nicely and become tender as part of the filling. And these 3 vegetables make a great base for pretty much any dish, including this shepherd's pie. This recipe does require some prep, so it's a great recipe to do on the weekend, or if you have some extra time one evening, or if you just want to have a nice chill out session in the kitchen doing some mindless chopping. It can also be a really nice dish to do together with someone so that you can split up the chopping. Then, to build on the flavor of these veggies, I also chop up 2 large garlic cloves really finely. Once I've prepared these base veggies for the filling, I move on to my ingredients for the mash, and I'm using 2 3/4 cups worth of peeled and cubed potatoes. For this recipe, I think it's nice to peel the potatoes and have a really sort of clean mash, and cubing them just means they will cook faster. To go with the potatoes, I'm also using 3.5 cups of cauliflower florets. So I just cut the florets off the stem of the cauliflower and then break it or cut it into smaller pieces. And this combination in a mash is actually really delicious and goes really well with this shepherd's pie. If you've never tried it, give it a chance. Once I've chopped the potatoes and the cauliflower, I prepare my steaming pot by adding some water under a steaming basket and then fill it up with the veggies. So what I've done here is that I've prepared the potatoes and the cauliflower on top of a steaming basket to cook them. But you could of course boil them if you don't have one of these steamer inserts for one of your pots. But I think they're really handy, and for this I just like to do it this way, but it doesn't really matter, you do it any which way you like. But what I have done here is that I've put the potatoes underneath the cauliflower, which means that they get more of the heat and more of the cooking power, let's say, when I put this on. And since they're more dense, this is good because it means that both the cauliflower and the potato will cook pretty much evenly. And I will put this on now for about 20 to 30 minutes, and in the meantime we can get started on the filling. Also cover with a lid, very important. You'll want to bring the water in the pot to a boil and then turn it down to a simmer. And in the meantime, I add a tablespoon of olive oil to a Dutch oven, and I cook my veggies in here along with a pinch of salt. You'll want to stir everything up really well to coat it with the salt, and then cover it with a lid and let it steam for 10 minutes while you prepare the other ingredients for the filling. For this recipe, I use 2 cups worth of chopped chestnut mushrooms to give it some meaty texture and flavor. And I'm also chopping up 1 whole cup of sun-dried tomatoes, which also add lots of delicious depth and flavor to the mixture. Then when the veggies have sweated for about 10 minutes on their own, I add in the sun-dried tomatoes and the chestnut mushrooms along with some dried herbs. I've got 1 tablespoon of dried thyme, 1 tablespoon of dried rosemary, and 1 tablespoon of dried oregano. I'm also going in with 3 tablespoons worth of balsamic vinegar and 1.5 tablespoons of the soaking oil from the sun-dried tomato. And these items all together will make this dish sing with a real depth of flavor. Okay, so now this is going to cook here for another 10 to 15 minutes just to let everything sweat again and get those mushrooms nice and soft and get everything to come together, all the flavors to marry. And then after that time, I'm going to add in some lentils. Here I have some cooked beluga lentils. You could also use some green poi lentils, but you want to pre-cook them. And I've cooked mine in some vegetable broth, which gives them lots of yummy flavor because the lentils absorbs the flavor in the water. And this allows us to sort of build the flavors in layers for this filling, which is great because that means you get a really yummy end result. And yeah, I'm gonna set these aside for now. I'm gonna add that in later with some starch and some stock and cook it even more to create like a gravy around everything. And then in a little while, I'm going to make my mash, but now I can put on the oven to preheat because once it's all done, we layer it up and we cook it in the oven. So 200 degrees should be good, so let's turn it on. After about 15 minutes, I returned to my filling and I added 3 cups worth of cooked lentils. I'm also going in with 1 tablespoon of cornstarch that I stir through the whole filling, and this will help thicken the vegetable stock that I'm about to add because I go in with 1 cup of water along with 1 tablespoon of vegetable stock powder as well as 1 tablespoon of soy sauce, again to keep building this depth of flavor. I give it all a good mix and then I half cover it with the lid again and allow it to simmer for another 10 minutes. And you'll want to stir it once in a while just to finish off the filling. In the meantime, I move on to making the mash by adding a 1/4 cup of unsweetened soy milk to the drained veggies. I also go in with 1 tablespoon of vegan butter or margarine and a 1/4 cup of nutritional yeast. I season with 1 teaspoon of salt and add some white pepper. Then I go wild and I mash this until it's as smooth as I can get it. Finally, it's time to layer up the pie, and I start by adding my filling to an oven-proof dish and I spread it out in an even layer. Then I top that with the mash and I try to spread it out evenly as I dollop it on and then smooth it out across the top. To make some interest in the top, I like to use a fork to make a nice pattern. Alright, so now this is ready to bake for 15 minutes in the oven, and then I actually like to turn on the grill and move the pie up and do it for another 3-4 minutes, maybe 2, depending on your oven, just to get some color on the top. And of course you can make any sort of pattern you like on the top of the pie. I just went a little bit organic with some swirly patterns with my fork, but that's a fun thing that you can just be creative with. But now let's bake this. Usually the pie goes a little bit more golden than this, but because our oven is a little temperamental at the moment, this is the result. And I like to serve it with a nice green salad, but it is also good just on its own. Also, if you feel like it, you can use some fresh thyme to decorate the top of the pie if you're serving it to friends or family. So that's how you make my veggie-packed vegan shepherd's pie with beluga lentils. And those mushrooms really help make a really yummy, umami, savory flavor as well. And this might not be the most photogenic dish, but it is a really lovely dish to serve sort of for sharing with friends or family. A great sort of potluck dish. And I'm looking very much forward to eating this for lunch now, and I thank you all very much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this video. As always, the recipe is linked in the description box so you can see it written out for more details. And yeah, thanks very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Take care!